So now that we know how to create code projects and code plugins, and we know a little bit more about how the engine is structured, let's take a look at an actual plugin, something that does something useful, not just an empty plugin that we've created previously that does nothing. Now, we won't have enough time for this video to create an entire plugin from scratch. So instead, what I did is I prepared a plugin ahead of time. And you can actually find this on GitHub. If you go to GitHub and you navigate to UE4 plugins/TextAsset, there you will find the code for the plugin that we're going to use. And I'm just going to copy this URL, and I will show you how to grab a copy of some code that you find on GitHub and put it into your project. It's actually really straightforward. There are several tools to clone GitHub projects onto your local hard drive. My personal favorite is SmartGit, but on this machine we have Git for Windows installed, which you can also download for free. And in order to clone this plugin, all you do is you navigate into your project's plugin directory. You see we are still in my project, which we've created in our first video. And we're going to go into plugins and right-click here and open a git bash command line, and then run the git command to clone the repository. I will paste that same URL that I copied out of the browser. And that was it. So it basically duplicated the plugin code into our local project directory here. You see there's a new folder here now. It's called TextAsset. And now that we have this code, we can go into the editor and regenerate our project files. Let me open up Visual Studio real quick so you can see how it works. So in the editor, there's an option down here. It's called Refresh Visual Studio Project. Click on that. And now UBT is going to detect that there is some new code present. And you see Visual Studio detected that our editor has regenerated the Visual Studio solution file in the workspace, and it offers us to reload the projects. So let's do that. I'm going to click Reload All. And you see we now have the TextAsset plugin as part of our Visual Studio solution. Now, unlike previously where we created a plugin from within the editor and everything got compiled for us automatically, in this case, since we kind of manually copied the code for this TextAsset plugin ourselves, we have to compile manually here in Visual Studio as well. So I'm going to go ahead and press F7, which is our shortcut to compile the startup project. And you see it's compiling right now. And it should be done any second. And there should be no errors if everything goes right. And a couple more files. And there we go. All right. Now, you may remember when we created our very first plugin in the second video, this plugin was visible right away in the editor. This time, we can't actually see our new plugin because the editor is not smart enough yet to detect that we just compiled a new plugin that's now available. So in this case, we actually have to restart the editor to make that plugin show up. And I'm going to do that real quick. Let's go back to the launcher. Fire our project back up. Yep, let's just compile it one more time. And if everything goes well, we should now be able to see the TextAsset plugin in our plugin browser. And just a couple more seconds here. Here we go. All right, let's scroll down. And yeah, it sure worked. So our plugin showed up. So you see that it's actually really easy to grab a code plugin from GitHub and make it part of your project. If you're not a programmer, let's say you're an artist or a level designer, or someone who doesn't program regularly, if you find a plugin on GitHub that you would really like to use, but the creator did not provide any ready-to-use binary release, or maybe this plugin is not available on the UE4 launcher, then it's not the end of the world. You can actually grab the code yourself and compile it yourself, and then you can still use it. So for a lot of people who aren't programmers, this is usually a complete showstopper, but I showed you that it's really quite easy to get around that. So you now know how to compile your own plugins. All right, so let's see what this plugin does. I'm going to close the plugin browser, and I'm going to give you a quick demonstration. So our plugin adds a new type of asset to the content browser, and you can find it under MISC and TextAsset. There it is. And as the name suggests, all it does is store text. So you can put some text in here and save it. And next time you open it back up, the text is still there. So it's a very simple type of asset, but it illustrates what you can do with plugins and adding new assets to UE4. Some other things that I added here is a context menu option. So for example, there's an option to reverse the text. If I click that, it will actually reverse the text that we typed previously. If we open this back up, you see it still says hello world, but it's now backwards. Let's save it. And that's pretty much it. So our asset is super simple. It just stores text. That text could also be used in Blueprint. We can reverse the text on it, and we are able to create new assets here from the content browser context menu. Another thing that we can do is we can drag and drop a text file from our computer into the content browser. So let me create a text file real quick. I'm just going to call this hello.txt. Open this one up. And type some text in here. Hello world, how's it going? And save it. Now if I take this file and drag and drop it into the content browser, it will actually create an asset for me, a text asset. And lo and behold, it has the text that we had in our original file. So that's just another feature that I implemented for this particular plugin. All right, and that's really all this thing does. So to sum it up, if you find code on the internet for some plugin that you would like to use, it's really easy to compile it yourself if there's no binary distribution. You just use a Git client, such as Git for Windows, to clone that repository into your project's plugin folder, and then you recompile the code for your UE4 project. If you started out with a Blueprint project and you don't have any code yet, it's actually really easy to convert it into a code project. You can just go into the File menu and add some code class to it, and that will convert your Blueprint-only project into a C++ project. And then you get all the same features that I showed you so far. There's going to be a Visual Studio solution and so on. Alrighty, so in our next video, we're going to look at how this particular plugin was implemented.